Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Card Subject to Change. I am your host, the Wizard CZ, and as you can see, Never Wrong Nick Bull is not with us tonight. He has family obligations, but filling in is someone I think that'll do just fine. I'm excited. From Shotgun Wrestling Radio, Mr. Zach Takis. Zach, how are you today?
I'm doing great, my friend. Thank you for having me. It's going to be an exciting night here at Absolute Pro Wrestling in Waterloo. If you're not here yet, you have plenty of time to get here. Even if you're in the Cedar Rapids area, you got plenty of time to get here before the bell starts at 7 p.m.-ish?
7 p.m.
roughly. So yeah, you got plenty of time. Hop in your car now, get down here, come on, hang out with us.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This should be a good card. Two cage matches here tonight. One of them a fatal four-way cage match, and we're going to have a couple of the competitors from the fatal four-way, and we're going to bring in one of them right now. Joining us on the podcast, one Mr. Victor Payne. Come on in, have a seat here, Victor.
Just don't make me feel the pain, please.
Go ahead and grab the microphone, have a seat. Welcome to Card Subject to Change.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start things off. You are in a fatal four-way cage match. I guess the first question is, have you been inside a cage before?
Well, to be honest, I've been locked inside steel 21 different times. I was an MMA fighter before this life, and I've been in there. I have plenty of experience inside the cage, more than all three of those other men combined, I think. So if anybody is more ready for this match, it's me.
So what is your mindset going into a match like this? I mean, MMA background, that's one-on-one from what I'm familiar with, but you've got three other guys that you're going inside the steel with. How do you prep for that? What is your mindset going in?
I prep for it the same way I do everything else. Heavy in the gym, lifting. My whole mindset has changed since Jason Prentice put me in this cage match. It's brought out a whole nother animal in me. Like the passion I have for this, and tonight that they're gonna feel, no pun intended, they're gonna feel pain.
Now, as you're going into this matchup, obviously we're all wrestling fans. We've all seen steel cage matches over the years. Have you done any tape study here recently to kind of help get you in that right frame of mind, or what cage matches of Cage Match Pass have been some of your favorites over the years?
I'll be honest. This week, especially last week, Bad Blood. Hell in a
Yeah.
Cell, I've watched that about 4 or 5 times in a row. I just could not get enough, and that's what's going to happen tonight. A little bit of that.
That was easily probably one of the best Hell in a Cell matches they've produced in the last 15, 20-something years
Absolutely.
of having Cell.
I couldn't agree more. I'm not a Punk fan, and everybody knows that, but I am after that, and that he brought it, and that's what I'm going to bring tonight. Every little bit of that.
So talk a little bit about your background, how you got into wrestling, what brought you to the table?
Honestly, I've been watching wrestling since I was like 3 or 4 on Grandpa's lap and Grandma's house, and honestly, I got scared at a point in my life where I was going to do it, and I never pulled the trigger when I was 19 and stuff. And I got old enough, and my mom passed, and it just started looking at life a little different, and decided, let's chase this dream and show them what Victor's made of.
Absolutely.
Who were some of the guys that you had looked up to growing up as a kid as wrestlers that made you say, "Hey, if I'm ever going to do this, in a certain point of your life, who were some of the guys that you looked up to and said, that's who I want to be like"?
Honestly, I'm like, I'm an attitude era kid when I really remember a lot of wrestling. Goldberg, I loved Goldberg as a kid. As you grow older, you realize.
Hey, though, in fairness, if you go back to that era and watch
Right.
any Goldberg match, and I know like kids today and people that have
Right.
not are past Attitude Era fans, they don't know how over that dude was in that era. So
Right.
it's-
I guess I'm a fan of that era Goldberg
Yeah.
for sure. I'm not a fan of new age
right,
Goldberg.
right.
It's but like guys like that, Kevin Nash, bigger guys. 'Cause
Yeah.
even as a kid, I was probably one of the bigger kids, and
Right.
like just looked up to these big guys. Big Van Vader is like one of my favorites. Like hard hitting, bring that action, and I like guys like that.
No
Take your
doubt.
head off, no nonsense, bring it. Like guys like Ken Shamrock and like the fighters that like brought it over. And Steve Blackman, I always remember him bringing that kendo stick and
Oh yeah. Yep.
sorry, Singapore cane and cracking people with it. So I mean, I always wanted to do that stuff.
So obviously the heavy hitters are big go-tos for you. Is there a particular match that draws you in that you could watch over and over again?
Man, there's so many. If I really had to draw it down, I think Batista Taker from WrestleMania 23. I say that because I was in the crowd and I was there for that, and like that was the best match on the card that night for two big guys to just it brought out the best you've ever seen in Taker and Batista, in my opinion. Like that's the one match that I could throw on and just watch it. Or same with Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair from Mania. Like,
One of my favorites. One of my all-time
that's one of
favorites.
the
The
best
emotion,
matches.
the drama.
Yeah, 25 minutes of nothing but chain wrestling. Like that's what like that. They brought it back to old school style wrestling, and it was like just good to watch.
Now let's go ahead and take it back to kind of the very beginning here for people that might not be too familiar with where you kind of came from. Where did you get your training at? What school did you come up in? Because we have so many choices here
Right.
in Iowa. We're blessed. Like compared to
Yeah.
even when I started getting into independent shows in 2005, we have so many different options now for everybody to go to. What one did you select for your training school?
Me, I personally chose IPW, Impact Pro Wrestling. They've been around 25 years now, going on 25 years. So I thought I went back when I was like 18 or 19. I went for a tour, and an accident happened in the ring. It was just a freak accident. It kind of tripped me out, scared me. So I was going to be wanted to be a tag team with my best friend at the time, and we decided not to do it. And we waited, and then it kind of fell on the back burner. But I ultimately chose them because I knew TS Aggressor was going to bring the best out of me, and then eventually I got to train with James Jeffries and Justin Decent, and those guys ended up bringing out the best of me. And it's really, for me, for my style of wrestling, I couldn't have chose a better spot.
Now I know you hear a lot of horror stories about training from the old days. Do you have any horror stories from when you were going through training?
Not me personally, but I didn't. I had a great time. I enjoyed it though. I like being the athletic aspect about it because people think it's nothing and easy to get in there and do that. Well, pay the money and pay your dues, and let's do it, and you will find out how uneasy it is. So
I know I've never taken a bump. I've been in the ring with a microphone in my hand,
sure.
but I don't ever want to take a bump. It doesn't, not on my radar.
See, my name's Pain, so if it ain't a little painful, I don't really want to do it. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I like, just like that go fast mentality. Like, yeah.
So obviously we can't look ahead to tonight's matchup because it hasn't happened yet, and so we're gonna take that off the card. Looking back at everything that you've been involved in so far, what would you say has been your favorite match that you've been involved with?
Probably the Fans Bring the Weapons match last a year tomorrow, actually, when I won the Openweight Championship against Cole Cannon. That was my favorite match because I got to beat the hell out of Cole Cannon. And, you can't have a better time than that. Other than that, I got to wrestle Alvin Falcone last weekend, and let me tell you, that dude, I had to resort to some stuff that I never thought I'd really have to do, but, sometimes we cross those lines. And it is what it is. I won. That's at the end of the day, I took the double.
Well, and speaking of Cole Cannon, he's in one of the main events here tonight too, as he's getting in the cage with Mr. Jason Prentice, the owner and promoter here of Absolute Pro Wrestling. And again, if you guys aren't planning on coming out, you're seeing this and you're thinking, man, there's nothing to do tonight, come on down to the Cedar Valley Sportsplex in Waterloo because we have two cage matches. I mean, how many independent shows not even just alone in Iowa, but around the country, are you going to see 2 cage matches?
How many are you going to see even one cage match on?
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to backtrack a little bit. You talked about the fans bring the weapons match. What's the strangest weapon you've ever used?
Somebody brought a George Foreman grill, and I don't remember. We used so much stuff in that match. I know a keyboard. Somebody brought a little plastic trike, a little like a a scooter, a little scooter. Yeah, somebody brought a plastic scooter, and like it was crazy. The George Foreman popped me the most. Though, so.
I can't even imagine how you would use that other than just like, beating someone over the head.
Well,
Right.
you take the actual grill off.
That's there you go.
You know, for next time, that's an
Something
idea
like,
for you.
Turn it, find an outlet,
Yeah.
plug it in, and put their
Burn
hand
it, or go the Michael Scott route and burn their foot on it. You know,
Okay.
burnt your foot on a George Foreman grill.
Well, I guess if you just got to have the bacon right when you get out of bed, I
Yeah.
mean, it's got to be there, right?
Who doesn't like bacon right out
Right?
of
I
bed?
mean, he's not wrong there.
Victor, talk us through not just this match. This is a big, important match. Titles on the line. You're in a cage with 3 other dudes. But talk us through a general week of prep for you stepping in the ring from Sunday until just before ring time, just before bell time. What do you go through? What are you doing? What's your mindset?
Well, every morning, 4:15. I'm up at 4:15. I'm in the cold plunge. If you guys aren't doing that will change your life. You will have a new outlook on life when you're doing that at 4:15 and it's dark out and everybody's still asleep. And then I'm in the gym. I'm in the gym for an hour, and then I finish up with 30 minutes on the stair stepper. I mean, that's my cardio. I try to lift and keep my heart rate up while I'm lifting. So I'm trying to work cardio then, and then I go hit the stair stepper, and that I try to do that 4 or 5 days a week.
Do you have any rituals or superstitions when you get to the venue to get prepped up?
Not really. I have a favorite pair of socks that I make sure are always washed and clean and in the bag. That just, which except for today, actually, because they got a hole in them.
Oh,
And so I put them on the
no.
shelf, and I'm like, all right, I got to find a new pair
Not the
of.
lucky socks.
I know. So I don't know what that means.
Should we start a GoFundMe?
Superstitiously, but,
Yes.
GoFundMe for Victor socks.
Yes.
But I did the same thing when I fought. I had a pair of green fuzzy socks, and that I always wore. My mom always gave me crap about it because I was green fuzzy socks. I was always wearing them, but that's what I always wore to the cage. So I kind of found that same. I don't know. I like socks, so it's weird. I like soft things on my feet. So.
What's the best advice you've received so far since you started wrestling?
Oh, slow down. Like, no doubt about it. Sometimes you're just going too fast.
You know,
there too soon.
it's truly
Often I hear that when I ask people that, like how. So I ask that a lot to everybody, and a lot of it is like slow down.
yeah,
That
it's
and-
amazing.
Psychology. Make it make sense. Like,
Yeah.
like that's a big thing. I like to make things make sense. Like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this? In
Right.
at this
Well, and
particular
especially
moment.
here on this independent level, you see so many guys who are just go, 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 and
Right.
they don't like to sell anything. They hit a move, and they don't even put their hand on their head like it hurt. And it's like
Right.
that's part of the hey, slow down, actually make it look like you're in a fight.
Sure. I agree with that. Yep. Slow down. That's probably number one. And then psychology number two. Why are we doing this? Is another thing that I've learned. And I'm still I'll be a greenhorn for the next 15 years, so I'm never gonna know how to do it right. I don't think. I'm always gonna make mistakes, but I think I do all right.
Right.
I'm learning more and more. Every opponent I get in there with, I learn more about myself, and I push myself to the limits. And I try to go a little more, do new shit. And so I don't ever want to be stale.
Right.
If I'm getting stale, let me know, because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the guy that does the same match with every guy I'm in the ring with. I want it to be different.
And the most memorable players in the game evolve with time.
Right.
You got to look at the likes of Chris Jericho.
Yep.
He's the one that comes to mind off the top. Always evolving, always changing his character with the time.
I agree. I am not a fan of the past 3 years of Chris Jericho, but
No, but
I think he's top 5 greatest of all time for what he's accomplished in this industry and what he's done. You know, he's the first undisputed champion. So like, he's the first guy to hold 2 belts, I guess.
So Victor, we've got a couple of coming on, and the audio just dropped. You can probably hear me through the computer. I apologize. This mixer is not the greatest, so if we cut out.
Cannon walking by.
That's
System,
definitely
the whole
good.
system wanted to go.
What I wanted to ask, what do you have to say to your 3 opponents tonight before you go in? I know they're not going to see this until after the fact, but what do you have to say to them?
Man, same thing I get asked. I hope you're ready, because what I'm about to do to you 3 men inside that cage, you've never even thought was possible. I'm going to beat you guys down one by one and tear you apart and show you how painful it's going to be. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Victor, I want to thank you for stopping by the podcast.
Thank you.
You are welcome back anytime.
Appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick commercial break here, pay dues to our fellow network shows, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
For frequency's sake, has you covered on all things sports. From the squared circle to the hardwood and the gridiron to the speedway, we've got something for everyone. Walk down the aisle with the boys from Card Subject to Change every Sunday as they take a deep dive into everything pro wrestling. Head on over to the hardwood with Doug Green and Watching the W each week for all the news from the WNBA. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast, where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your gambling fix? We've got you there. Dan Hancock and Gotham Gambling will help you cover the spread with the Golden Ticket Show. Football more your style? Explore the waters of NFL DFS with DFS Deep Dive with Brian Craighead and Jordan Kernan each week. More into the science portion of the game? The Professor John Bush and Dennis Michelson take you into their science lab and dissect your week in the data lab. Need to know who to start last minute? The network's flagship show, For Fantasy's Sake, is here in a pinch. The fellas come to you live every football Sunday from 10 to 11:30 Central with the week's best DFS, gambling, and lineup advice. And wrap up your Sundays with Joe Winkle and Nick Brinks as they come to you live with educated ignorance, looking at all the day's action. Not enough football on Sunday? Not a problem. Kick your feet up at lunch on Monday and slip into the football lounge with Mark and Dan while they look at the week that was in news.
My feed froze. Now we're back on. Having a little bit of a technical difficulty, which happens when you're live and on location. We've got one more thing before we bring our next guest in. We're going to toss over to Mr. JT Energy for this week's Moment of Focus.
Welcome to a Moment of Focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy. And this week, what are we talking about? Things are a little different, a little crazy, a little live, but have no fear. JT Energy is here. Wait a second. Let's switch this up. Much better. Now, what are we focusing on this week? Well, Card Subject to Change podcast, we're focusing on, just like what's happening outside, that change. As we move deeper into that fall, that autumn, that harvest air, some days it's a little warm, some days it's a little cold. But just like the outside world, let's embrace that change. Because the quicker we embrace our own change as it comes, the more comfortable we'll be in our own skin. So, don't forget, when the change comes, don't fight it, embrace it. This has been a Moment of Focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy.
Welcome back to the show, as we like to say here on Card Subject to Change. As you can see, we are joined of the podcast, Brandon the Shank Eubanks. Shank, how are you tonight, sir?
What's going on, boys? What's going on?
We are rocking and rolling here. We're excited. We've got the ring in the background, a little bit different than the last time we were here. Thought we'd add some ambiance to that. Our good friend Clint Dye here taking photographs of everybody.
Clint makes everybody look good, I tell you.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Have you seen all my profile photos?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
That isn't done
I've
by
seen
me.
the OnlyFans, too.
Shh. At the real Shank at onlyfans.com.
He's got a subscription.
So hey, my best one, best customer.
So Shank, it's been a little bit since we've had you on the show, but let's talk about tonight. You've got a triple threat match. What's your to that match?
Well, I mean, I do actually pretty solid at triple threats, obviously, because two guys start getting. And my biggest thing is the old reversey, hit from the side. I mean, it's two new guys, Jackson Slater. Jackson Slater is a thick man who lifts a lot of weight, and he is he's going to be something. I haven't actually wrestled him. I haven't been on a show with him, but I have watched him wrestle because obviously you got to do film on all your guys, or else what are we doing here, right? And we've obviously seen Alvin Falcone. That man is hot, dude. He has beaten everybody up. He did take a loss to Victor Payne last show. However, if anybody was watching, he got kicked. He kicked the ropes on the crotch. I mean, we've all been there. We go down. It's like that. So I mean, Alvin's he's a great guy. I'm excited to see him. And we see him in the ring. It's the first time where I'm tangling with both those guys for the first time. Also for them, it's also the first time that they're going to be in the ring with somebody like me, who could punch and kick absolutely hard. I have yet to meet somebody who kicks and punches harder than me.
I'll take your word for it. I don't want to learn from experience.
Ask them after the match. We'll see what happens.
Well, the one advantage too that you have, you being kind of one of the promoters here for Absolute Pro Wrestling, you do get your firsthand look at some of these guys. What's kind of
stand out for you? Again, you mentioned Alvin was on the show last week, and what's just some of the things that stand out when you see
out and you're like, I want to get in there and mix it up with these cats.
Because I'm trying to kill them so they never come back so I can keep shining. Because my old ass is it ain't got very many left, dude. So I got to keep these young guys down so I can keep going. The old Hogan way, right, brother? No, actually, the cool thing is, like I said, we got a lot of promotions around. We're friends with a lot of guys. So the big thing, like I said, I'm super entertained by a lot of these guys. Taking away, taking you behind the curtain here. Jackson Slater, Alvin Falcone, like I said, those two dudes, I've been watching them out over in South Dakota. And I'm just impressed. So, maybe let's see what, you can throw a little shank in there into the painting. Let's see what happens. Every drawer of silverware needs a good knife, right?
Absolutely, for sure. Now, I don't want to bring up bad memories, but I know you recently lost the tag titles, you and Bryce Jordan. Is this a move into the singles realm for you? Are you guys still going to look at coming back into the tag title picture? So what's the future hold for the boys?
Well, so the boys right now, obviously, we've been kind of getting opportunities in the single round right now. Obviously, it's us versus everybody, no matter what happens. I don't care if Bryce, if best thing would be right now, Bryce wins the heavyweight title tonight. Your boy gets the number one contender spot. I get the open weight title. Look at us. We're flying in gold still. I'm not surprised if that happens. But, we got told we're at the back of the line. That kind of sucks. You normally, it used to be, I guess, how it was. You lose the belt, you get the first crack. You don't anymore. Not here, at least. That you lose, you're to the back of the line, buddy. So right now we're at the back of the line, which is fine because if you think about, we're at the back of the line, but we're technically at the front of the line for other stuff. So we're doing all right,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'll let them hold on to it for another couple rounds. We'll see what happens. But we also got to work together because we do got to battle the free world. So I know Bryce is trying to keep his distance away from Jay Wesley, which he should, because Jay Wesley don't want to get his ass whooped right now. So we're just letting him hang on to it for now. If you want to ask the honest truth there, let's get through the free world. Let's get into that big match next month. Let's beat their asses. And then I guess we'll make our turn towards our buddies and let's try to take our titles back.
Well, again, as you just mentioned, Bryce being in the cage match tonight, we got Jason Prentice in a cage match as well. That's got to be a little bit worrisome for you. You got two guys that you're pretty close with, entering the cage. And again, now we had just talked about, not very often you have two cage matches on an independent show. Tonight we have two cage matches. And, hold up.
Let me interrupt you there for a minute.
Stay seated there. So Shank, how you doing for wins and losses lately, huh? How you doing? Not. Let me tell you something, Shank. I was there for your first match. I was there. I saw your first match, and I saw something in your eyes. I saw a darkness. You were ruthless. I saw a darkness in there, and I liked it. I saw something. It grabbed me. Something grabbed me, and I said, "That's the guy. Down the road, that's going to be the guy." And you look after that match, and you go down the road a little bit. Where do you get? You get to the Stud Club. You remember that? Huh?
That was some good.
The Stud Club. Jason Prentice called me, and he said he needed someone. He needed someone to lead his Stud Club. And what did I tell him? My first choice. The Shank. Because I knew that he had something inside him. Something inside that needed to come out. It needed to be brought out of him. And look at you now. What are you doing now? Running around with Bryce Jordan, the boys. Who's winning those matches, huh? Who's the one? Is it you? What have you been doing since you lost those titles, huh?
You know what?
Shank? Brandon? You are my biggest failure. And this is out of your grasp because you can't find what it takes because you are an epic failure.
Well, we're gonna welcome the champ onto the podcast now. That I don't have any words at the moment. That was
Words are not needed, my friend.
okay. Fair enough. Obviously, champion of APW, Aaron Von Baron, AVB, joining us here on the podcast.
That is I.
Change.
Yes.
Welcome. Glad to have you on board. First thing I'm going to ask, what's your mindset tonight going into coming out of a steel cage match and going into one with 3 other guys?
Well, so hold on. So if I may, for those of you who don't know, last week I was in a cage match with the Death Dealer. I wrote a little song about that, if that's okay.
Sure.
I got something to say. I beat the Death Dealer last week, and it doesn't matter much to me, because I am still the champ. You like that? That's the Misfits.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you ever heard of them?
That's going to be a #1 hit.
That's right, it will. Tonight, it doesn't matter. Last week, it was the Death Dealer. It doesn't matter if it's Matty Starr, Bryce Jordan, Victor Payne. It doesn't matter. I'm going to walk out of there the absolute pro wrestling heavyweight champion.
I've got chills. I mean, you come in here.
You're damn right.
You get in Shank's face, which I understand. I understand where you're coming from. Scared the crap out of me, by the way.
I felt it too.
You chased poor Zach over yonder. Man, I'm at a loss for words, Zach. I'm gonna need your help here.
Aaron, you've been running roughshod over the entire APW roster. What is it for you, man, that your game right now is at a completely another level? What is it for you that's just propelled you to this? You know, I remember being back at the Battle Royal earlier this year, and that was for me what felt like really propelled you to this next level that we're seeing you at, and it's just skyrocketed for you.
So here's the thing, Zach. You know, for a long time in my throughout my 12-year plus years in the ring, something has always been holding me back. And generally it's been a faction, it's been a tag partner, it's been something. I'm doing it on my own now. I'm doing it by myself. I don't need anything holding me back. I am the Herald of Darkness. I am the absolute pro wrestling heavyweight champion, and that is all that needs to be said.
And you know, it kind of goes back to that old saying, to be the man, you got to beat the man. You're kind of taking that, motto and kind of really running with it. Like you said, you don't want a faction with you. You don't need a tag team partner with you. You're just proving everyone here at APW why you are the best right now for APW and why, again, you're just the reigning defending champion. Even the way you legit chased off Shank even. Like Shank's no small fate either.
Shank is a lost cause. He is a failure. He will always be a failure. That's it.
So what?
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few more in us here, I think. What does it mean to be the flag bearer of Absolute Pro Wrestling? To hold that championship for you, someone like you?
That championship is the premier championship in Iowa. So Absolute Pro Wrestling just started a few years ago, as you guys both know. But 10 years from now, this is going to be the premier company in all of Iowa, the Northwest, Absolute Pro Wrestling, and I am the man.
Anything you have to say to your opponents tonight before going into the cage?
Everyone will suffer.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Champ. I know you got a big match to get ready for, so we'll let you go do that. And
thank you for gracing us with your presence, sir.
Whoa.
You know, I've been a part of a lot of things since I've been involved with wrestling. I don't know that I've ever been involved with anything that intense.
I don't think so.
I mean,
either.
it right now is 6:30. I think doors are getting ready to maybe get open here. If you're looking for something to do tonight, come on down to the Cedar Valley Sportsplex, Waterloo, Iowa. Bell time is at 7 p.m. We're not starting with the cage matches, so if you're worried that if you don't get here at 7, you're going to miss a cage match, we are not starting with the cage match. So if you want to get here in time, you still have time to get down here and see 2 really great cage matches that we have for you here at Absolute Pro Wrestling.
Not only that, there's a lot of good matches on the card tonight. You have the 2 cage matches, Cole Cannon, Jason Prentice, the Fatal 4-Way with Victor Payne, Matty Starr, Bryce Jordan, and Aaron Von Baron. But you also have Jay Wesley and Ethan Everhart having an open challenge for the tag team titles. You've got Shank, Alvin Falcone, and Jackson Slater, if I can talk, blah, 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 blah.
What kind of mood do you think Shank is going to be in now? That seemed to really just shake him to his core a little bit.
I can understand it. He wasn't in my face, but I'm shaking. As you can probably tell. I was tear frozen, not knowing what to do.
Oh yeah, that was, like you said, that was one of the most tense things that we've been involved with, and it was just, Aaron Von Baron right now is a man I would not bet against.
No, I wouldn't either. I know earlier Victor Payne had some choice words saying he's coming after everybody in that match, but no, AVB is not someone to trifle with, and honestly, I don't see him walking away without that belt tonight.
Yeah, as intense as he was there, I would be shocked if he walks away without that title.
Oh man. Like Zach said, if you are in Waterloo, come on down to the Cedar Valley Sportsplex. $10 for general admission. Doors are opening here anytime now. Right now, there is going to be plenty of seating. You see the ring behind us here. Normally we go a little bit longer, but
it's tense here. But I mean, we just feel tense. I mean,
I've got chills. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I don't know, Nick. I'm kind of glad Nick isn't here because I think he would have gotten in somebody's face had he been here.
Yeah, that just was again like one of the most tense things we've been involved in, and I'm going to be interested. I'm even more interested in tonight to see how it shakes the foundation for tonight because that, like I said, I haven't seen Shank that rattled in a long time.
No.
If ever, I don't know if I've ever seen Shank that rattled.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know if I have either. Oh man. Got a couple of comments. Looks like oh no, nothing major. Victor Payne, Aaron Crosser says that Victor Payne is taking the steel cage match tonight after what we just I believe you, but after what we just saw, I don't know.
I'll be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked.
Oh man. Zach, you being the guest here, talk about Shotgun Wrestling Radio, where we can find you.
So yeah, go ahead and anywhere you can search Shotgun Wrestling Radio will come up. I've been kind of taking a break since Bridge City Slam for Central Empire Wrestling ended. I think I'm going to look at getting the podcast started up again, like on a once a month basis. with my brother-in-law, and we're going to kind of go back to what Shotgun Wrestling Radio was when Mr. Greg was alive, and we would actually talk about the national scene, because I haven't really talked national scene wrestling since he passed away. And I was like, I think I was getting kind of that itch to bring it back, but maybe just on like a once a month basis type thing on top of doing the preview stuff that we do. And unfortunately, we're getting into October here, which means we're getting into November. And kind of once you hit that November, a lot of our independents here kind of start to kind of slowly, kind of start stopping for the year, which is always a sad time of year.
For sure. And that it's understandable too, with winters in Iowa being as unpredictable as they are. Would never know if
really starting in November. Heck, we've had snow on Halloween before even.
I remember that. But no, once again, want to thank Absolute Pro Wrestling for having us here, inviting us into their home, into their arena to do this pre-show podcast for them. Thank our guests, Victor Payne.
I'll even thank Aaron Von Baron.
I will too. I will. I will definitely give him a thank you as well. As scary as that was, as nerve-wracking as that was, I don't know if I was scared. I didn't. Luckily, my still intact. But no. If you are in water, if you have not been to an Absolute Pro Wrestling show, come down to this one tonight. Follow them on Facebook. Follow Absolute Pro Wrestling. They are also on Instagram. I can't say enough good things about their shows, about the people that run this place. Come on down. We
2 cage matches. Two
cage matches, and I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm seeing a cage match live. I've seen.
You're in for a treat. You're in for a treat, my friend.
I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good time. But we're gonna wrap things up for tonight before anyone else comes in and decides to get in somebody's face. For my fill-in partner Zach Takis, I am the Wizard CZ. This has been Card Subject to Change. Look for me and Nick on the kick out here, coming in the middle of the week, and then we'll be back next week at our normal time, Sunday, right here on Card Subject to Change.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.